Hello, everybody. Toby James here from Cats Cove Communications. And thank you, everyone, for joining us, whether you're watching this live or watching a recording later on. We are going to talk about some of the top mistakes that are being made with your website, with all websites, really, with regards to search engine optimization and the idea of what you can be doing, what you should be doing to fix those aspects of your website. So we're going to cover a few different things today. In those things, we want to give you some tips and tricks that either you, if you're the person that has built your website, can take care of and can do. And if not, then I want to ensure that it's something that you are able to pass along to your web developer. So let's get started, shall we? So the very first thing I want to talk about with search engine optimization, and again, this doesn't matter if this is you, the individual building your own website for your business, or if you use somebody else to maintain your website and you're asking them to start to make some changes, is I want you to remember that you've got to be patient. And when I say patient, I mean patient is key to everything, obviously, but it can take 6 months for a new site to start seeing results from their search engine optimization. I am not saying that it will be 6 months until you're number one on Google. I'm saying until you start seeing results. It can take less time than that, and it can take longer than that. And a lot of that has to do with what your niche is, what your business is, those kinds of things. This is a strategy to build long-term traffic and long-term customers, though. So what I want you to remember is that the very first thing that you need to remember is you've got to be patient. So if this is something that you're going to spend some time and invest some time in, then that's something to remember. Listen, for those of you that are out there that have paid to have a website built, and you've paid somebody good money, and you might be paying them to maintain it, and if you intend to be around 6 months from now, frankly, then this is a worthwhile investment. So today we're going to define search engine optimization. We're going to talk about legitimately just literally what it is in some capacity. We're going to talk about why it's important and the specifics of why it's important. I think if you're watching this right now, you know that it's important, but we're going to talk about some of the specifics. We're going to define a lot of the common terms that exist out there. It is a new language that needs to be learned. So again, that's something that we want to do. And then the things to watch for. We're going to go through 6. I have 6 big ones listed, 6 things that most people are making mistakes on. And then I have a bunch of other things that I want you to think about as well. So that's what today's going to look like. Okay. So when I say search engine optimization, I am talking about the act of maximizing the quantity and quality of visitors to a website, as it says there. This is the process of improving your site to increase the likelihood of being seen. There's lots of opportunity to drive traffic to your website. Again, you've spent money, you've invested money and time in having it created. So this is something that will increase the likelihood of being seen. And one of the things that people don't always understand is how search engines work with regards to search engine optimization. So engines like Google or Bing or Yahoo or any search engine really uses a bot. And a bot, short for robot, right, to crawl pages on the web. And it goes from site to site and it collects information about those pages and it puts them in this big index. And I want you to think of the index like a giant library where the librarian can pull up a book, or in this case, obviously a web page at any given time to help you find exactly what you're looking for. So that's how this works. Okay. So why is it important? Again, I mean, we've talked about the idea that it's traffic. Search is often the primary source of traffic, is something that I want you to remember, of digital traffic, at least I should say. Social media obviously drives some traffic as well, but search is the main source that way. Done properly, this increases your visibility. It allows people to access you and your page and your business from multiple points, multiple angles. Higher visibility means more visitors More visitors means more customers. Something that I'm often asked is, but if I'm driving traffic to my website from social media, I think that's probably good enough. I'm already spending enough time on my content strategy and things like that. So I'm happy, Toby. I think that's good enough. And that's all well and good. It really is. It's a great opportunity to drive traffic from your social media. One of the things I want you to think about, though, is that search traffic, so traffic, visitors that come in from searching for you on Google, convert 10% more into paying customers than they do from social media. So you have the opportunity, if you can get more visitors from search, to get more paying customers. So that's why I say, right? I mean, if it's done properly, it's going to increase your visibility. Higher visibility means more visitors. More visitors means more customers. Very, very simple. And that's one of the things that I'm talking about. I'm not asking you, listen, if you've heard anything I've said before, I'm not asking you to abandon social media. Far from it. In fact, I am merely saying that, excuse me, that the majority of the visitors that you get from search have a higher likelihood of converting into active customers that way. Okay. So let's go through some key terms. Let's talk about some things that I'm going to, some stuff you might hear me say, I guess, and some stuff that you might hear others say if you go out and you contract somebody to do search engine optimization. Here are some of the terms you're going to hear them talk about. So they're going to talk about keywords. So keywords are words and phrases that we use to find online content. Keywords are the things that I am searching when I go to Google. Though what I'm putting in are the keywords that I'm using. And what we want to do, and what brands and businesses want to do, is we want to make sure that somewhere on our website, these keywords are there. Because what Google does, remember, Google's going to be that big index, and so Google's the librarian. So you go to the librarian and you search for something. And the librarian says, oh, if you're looking for something like this, I know that all the pages on so-and-so's business site match what you're searching for. So I'm going to send you there. So that's what keywords do. Keywords are great indicators and flags, if you will, for Google as to how likely it is to be a match for somebody searching. We're going to talk about creating content, and we talk about creating content in a lot of different places, and I'm aware of that. But content is, it comes in a lot of different forms. I mean, it could be the stuff on your website. It could be video, blog, podcast. It does include, as I said, social media and all these local listings. But anytime you're creating content, and this is just the words, pictures, and video that is going to go on your website, I want you to make sure it's educational, interesting, relevant, and shareable. Now, it's a lot of pressure. I understand that. And it might not feel like it's easy to just do that and make all of it that way. And I'm okay with that too. What I am going to say is that that's what I want you to search for. I want you to teach me something, keep me interested, be relevant to me. And ideally, and this is a perfect world, it's something that we're going to want to share as well. So if I really love it, I want to share it with somebody else. You're going to hear the term off-page SEO. So off-page search engine optimization. And this is all the activities that you and others do away from your website to raise the ranking of a page with search engine. So content is a lot of what's going to be on your site, right? And we're going to talk about some of the mistakes that get made and things like that. But off-page SEO is backlinks. So links to your site from other places. The idea of social media. These things are examples of off-page SEO. Of course, the opposite of off-page SEO is on-page SEO. And that is all the things that you can do within your website to improve its position in the rankings. So this is literally all of the stuff that you think you can do, or that I'm going to talk to you about, what you can do on your website, on the pages, how you can increase your position in search rankings. We're going to talk about the idea of local search engine optimization. So similar to organic search engine optimization, like it's a similar idea, but with a geographical component to it. So local SEO, if you sell something and realistically you're not worried about provincial, national, international users finding you. You're not shipping something internationally. What you're doing is you're simply worried about the people within a 25-mile radius and you want to get their attention, then local search engine optimization is really, really important. And there's some things you can do to help that as well. And we're going to talk about some of those things as well. Now, finally, one of the other terms that you'll hear is search engine marketing. And we're going to be doing an upcoming webinar as well. And if it's past that date, then I encourage you to go look at the video. If it's not past that date, then I encourage you to register. I believe it's a webinar on Google Ads, which is another way to say search engine marketing. Okay. So let's talk about, excuse me. Let's talk about some of the common mistakes made on your website, and not yours specifically, because I don't know who's currently watching and listening necessarily, and we're not going to go through each of them, but I guarantee that some of these mistakes are being made on your website. And the very first one is one that I can probably promise most of us are guilty of at some point, which is not using analytics properly. So again, you'll hear me say this phrase and then start it this way a bunch of times. You've likely paid somebody to create a website for you. If you haven't paid somebody, then you've spent a lot of your time creating the website. And there's a good chance once your website was done that you haven't spent a lot of time using analytics. Analytics, simply saying, is let's figure out how people are getting to you and what they're doing once they're on your site. So search engine optimization as a whole, right, isn't just about traffic, it's about conversion. And I want you to watch for two things through analytics. And Google Analytics, as an example, is a free tool that can be set up. There's lots of wonderful online courses as well that people are using to teach you how to use Google Analytics. Google itself has several because they're very interested in using the tool. So within the Google Analytics framework, let's talk about that. I want you to look for two things. I want you to find out what phrases are sending traffic to your site. And Google will tell you that. Google will tell you exactly what somebody searched for before they clicked on your site. I also want you, though, to remember or to look for which phrases are converting higher. So it's going to take, again, go to your webmaster, go to your web developer and ask them to set up some things, to set up some conversion tracking, because really what you care about is what's converting as well, what's monetizing. This isn't necessarily just about who's arriving on my website, because at Catscove Communications, if people are finding our website over and over and over again, and I'll use a very real example. We wrote a blog and we included a football player's name in it. And the football player has a unique name. His name is Gardner Minshew. And we included him in this blog. And so that's wonderful. But if people are searching for Gardner Minshew and they arrive at catscovecommunications.com, our analytics might show us that those search phrases are sending traffic to our site. Great. But once they get to Catscove Communications, what's the likelihood that somebody was searching for the backup quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles is going to want to engage us over a website? Well, it's probably pretty low, right? Listen, it's really easy to get caught up watching which phrases are sending you the most traffic. And then I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get bummed because you can't rank for those super competitive high traffic keywords. There are companies out there that have dozens of other companies doing this work for them all the time. But I need you to understand something. Traffic isn't all that matters, right? So lower traffic phrases oftentimes will convert better because they're more specific, and it's easier to kind of get to that first page, that coveted first page ranking for several of them. The only way to really find out is to track it. So set up your analytics, set up conversion tracking for certain keyword phrases, and then spend some time comparing them against each other to see what's producing the best results. If you don't know how to do this and you're somebody that has set up your own website, by all means, feel free to reach out to us. I mean, and we can walk you through how to set it up and teach you how to do it. If you do have somebody that set up your website, they are in fact the best people to do this, as they'd be familiar with your site already. And maybe frankly, maybe they've already got this stuff set up and it's just a matter of giving you access to it. So that's the first thing. I want to make sure that we're using analytics properly. The second big mistake is we're not utilizing local search. So search engines handle local searches differently, and we're going to hop off the slide deck here in a second, and we're actually going to head over to my internet browser, and I want to show you some stuff. What I'm going to ask from you, though, is to ensure that you have some region-specific keywords in your page titles and meta descriptions. Now, and again, we'll go through page titles and meta descriptions in a moment as well, but I want you to make sure you've got region-specific keywords in there if your intention is to drive traffic from local people. Including an address and a local phone number on all of your pages is super helpful, and it lets Google know that you are local to that area. And finally, make sure your Google My Business page is set up and that you are using it. It is the highest indicator on Google as to where you are. It is the best tool you have available to you for local search. Okay, so I'm going to bear with me here. We're just going to hop over and we're going to do a new share. Okay. So I want to show you a couple of things. So this is when we talk about local search. I want to show you some of the changes we've made on our site to ensure that we're targeting certain areas. First things first, down here, where you can see my mouse moving down here at the bottom underneath Google, it has my location. This is what I mean when I say local search. If I search for something in Google right now, it knows based on my IP address that I am in Perth, Ontario. It's the same as when you search from your phone, right? The other thing that happens with local search is people are oftentimes searching for a phrase near me. If you think about the last time you traveled somewhere, you're searching for breakfast near me, restaurant near me, men's shoes near me, whatever it might be, you're unfamiliar with what's going on in the city, you're going to search accordingly that way. And that's another way that local search is really, really helpful. So one of the things that in our page titles, and all of these big blue clickable links are your page titles, is you can see we have Ontario, Perth, Ontario. Now, we haven't done it with all of them, right? But we have done it with some of them. And this is what I'm talking about when I say optimizing for local search. So if we're just looking to consult within Ontario, this is wonderful. If we want to narrow our focus down, we should make this about Perth, Ontario. Website examples in Perth, Ontario. These page titles for your website, and frankly, to be perfectly honest with you, as I'm looking at this for our website as well, we need to do a better job optimizing these titles for local search, okay? That's something that we haven't done perfectly and that we want to do a better job of as well. So do you, right? That's kind of the key here, is so do you. So we're gonna just go back to this, and I'm going to go here. Bear with me here, folks. We're just going to snap back over to. There we go. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about when I say local search, is actually putting the words, in our case, Catskill Communications in Perth, Ontario, actually putting the words Perth, Ontario in our page titles and meta descriptions. What is a meta description? We're going to go through that as well in just a moment, but that's what I want you to remember, okay? So one of the other things that we're going to run into here is we're going to not, unfortunately, sometimes optimize for the right keywords. What do I mean by not optimized for the right keywords? I mean, a lot of the times what we do is we optimize for global keywords, even if we're only offering services locally. So we think of ourselves as weddings, right? But weddings doesn't do anyone any good. And frankly, it's nearly impossible to rank for some words like that if you are obviously only looking to cater or host or provide wedding dresses for local brides, local couples, and you're trying to rank globally for a word that way. So do not optimize for global keywords if you only offer services locally. Don't worry about generic keywords that attract visitors who don't have interest in what you're selling. So again, back to my Gardner Minshew example. You don't want to drive visitors who aren't interested, because what do? They hop on your website and they bounce away really, really quickly. Well, believe it or not, you actually get punished for visitors that show up and leave really quickly. It's what's called bounce rate. And your bounce rate ends up, the higher your bounce rate ends up getting, the less likely Google thinks that you're offering value that way. So again, that kind of goes back to don't optimize for keywords that don't match the intent of your customer. You might be able to outrank for keywords that your competitors are ranking for. But if you're not providing that service, why are you trying to rank for Maytag dishwashers if you aren't going to offer Maytag dishwashers? It doesn't help that way. Okay, so it's best to be as specific as possible with keywords. Like I said, generic keywords can bring you tons of traffic, but how long is that going to take you to kind of to win those generic keyword battles, so to speak? And how realistic is it that you'll actually win? So many times you're better off going for a specific phrase, which usually leads to a quicker ranking and more qualified traffic. So for example, right, Cat's Cove Communications, one of the things we do is web design, and we wouldn't simply want to try and rank for the word web design. Doesn't make any sense, right? If we decide to do web design services for plumbers in Perth, Ontario, or in Lanark County, well, that's going to be easier to rank for. And maybe I need to go a bit bigger. Maybe I need to go across Ontario. But again, that's going to be an easier one than just web design, because of all the other people that are out there ranking for web design, I don't need to battle with all of them to win. So similarly, if you're a restaurant, for example, simply your cuisine, simply what it is you offer doesn't make sense to try and win that, right? So French cuisine, it doesn't actually make sense to try and win that battle. French cuisine in Perth, Ontario, maybe you're the only person that ranks for it. Maybe you're the only person there. So maybe that's what you need to think of. So those keywords, the more specific, are probably going to actually start producing results a lot quicker. Maybe not immediately, but a lot quicker. And you can optimize for more competitive keywords as your website grows and gains authority. So the more people that end up on your site, the more people that are using your site, and the more authoritative Google believes you to be. So the longer that you're around and the more time you spend on search engine optimization, the higher the chance, the better opportunity you have to start competing for the complicated or the broader keywords that way is something I want you to remember. So I now want to talk about meta descriptions and title tags. And meta descriptions and title tags are their whole other thing that I need you to be aware of. And maybe you are, and maybe your web developer's done this. There's a good chance that you have a meta description for every page on your website. There's a good chance for some of us that it is not what you want it to say. So every title tag on your website, I want it to be unique. It's the title tag and the meta description are the first impression someone will have of your website long before they ever visit it. Okay. So I want every title tag to be unique. Yes, that helps with search engine optimization, but it's also what's shown when it's bookmarked or shared. And I'm going to show you that as well. So you can actually put your business name in every title, but I'm going to ask that you put it at the end of the title. So if we're going to go back in a second, I'm going to show you the Cat's Cove one again and show you how that works. Have that title of the page focus on important keywords. Okay, so let's just go back really quickly here. And we're going to go back to our website again. So remember, the titles are these. are these blue things. And you'll see how Cats Cove Communications is in there, right? It's not always at the end, the location's at the end in these cases, but it's also not the first thing. So I have website consulting, website design, testimonials, videography. We admittedly have a lot of really broad ones. This is something that we at Cats Cove need to do a better job tightening up. We need this to be web design, Perth, Ontario, that kind of thing. But these are your titles. So what is this important about? Well, or why is this important? Well, if you see up here where it says identifying your North Star metric up here, that's the title for one of our blogs. That's the name of it that way. So this is when you share, or when that page gets shared somewhere, this is the title. If somebody bookmarks your page, this is what's there. Again, it's also the first thing people see. So when they end up here, they go website design, Cats Cove Communications. Okay, well, and then you figure it out. Here's the thing. This underneath is what's called the meta description. So this describes to the user what they're going to find on this page, right? Consulting, under consulting, it says looking for clarity in your business, right? Website examples, take a peek at some of the examples, that kind of thing. So the meta description becomes super, super important as well with regards to what we want to communicate to our end user, right? So just bear with me here. I'm just going to snap up the presenter view one more time for me. So they're 160 character sales pitch. Tell me what's in this website. Convince me why I'm going. I want each of them to be unique and persuasive and include relevant keywords. So again, we're going to go through, we're going to think about what keywords we want to rank for, right? And there's lots of tools out there, again, online that you can use for this stuff. If you're stuck and you want an example, reach out to us. I mean, our contact details will be here at the end. Reach out to us and let's have a conversation about what keywords you should be ranking for, you should be looking for. So the meta description, most websites end up with a meta description. Here's the thing. If you don't put in that meta tag, that meta description, Google's going to pull the first 160 characters that are on your website. Well, that might be perfect. That might be super relevant. I've seen lots of times when the first 160 characters on the website, especially during times of COVID, during times of the pandemic, is actually a message about how they're not open. Or here are our COVID precautions that we've taken. So the first thing somebody sees when they go to this website is a message about COVID. Well, that probably sends the wrong message that way, right? So I need you to spend some time with meta descriptions and title tags. Again, if you don't know exactly what that is and how to change it on your website, find out who made your website, get in touch with them, and they should be able to help you make those changes. Okay. These are the deciding factors for searchers. And so they either cause them to click on your page or pass over you. So if you think of it that way, that's what I want. Okay. That's what I want you to realize, is that this is why you're deciding to click on this page, right? It will tell you whether or not it's relevant to you based on what you searched. Number 5, okay, is the idea of anchor text and internal linking. So I'm going to take you to a site where we have some good, to one of our blogs. I showed it to you briefly a moment ago, where we have some good examples and some bad examples of what I want and don't want on a website. So I do want you to stop using prompts like click here and order here. It actually might get you more clicks. I want to recognize that. The idea of click this button oftentimes will get somebody to click this button, but it doesn't help your search engine optimization, and it's not helping you with your linking strategy and the idea of internal linking strategy. So if you want to keep that call to action, change it to say, click here to learn more about, click here to X, Y, and Z, that kind of thing. I also don't want you to use the same anchor text every time. And we're going to go and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by anchor text. Okay. But I want you to use variations of the phrase. Really what I'm saying is, throughout your website, even though you may drive, so again, we'll use the example of a restaurant, even though you may be driving all the traffic to your menu or to the order here page or whatever it might be. Really what we're talking about is how many different ways can you say, check out our menu? Because I want you to say it as many ways as you can. Because if you just say, check out our menu, check out our menu, check out our menu, it becomes stale and it becomes the same thing to the bots. And we don't want it to be the same thing to the bots, okay? So the basic theory of internal linking is this. And by internal linking, I literally mean tying all the pages of your website together. I don't want you to think of each page on your site as a silo. I want you to think of them as a community that all need to be linked together. And internal linking is going to strengthen the overall SEO value of a website. Internal linking gives you this clear path for the bots so they can follow it clearly. It also means a user's more likely to spend more time on your website because there's lots of things to click on. So that's really important as well. So if we go back, and again, I'm going to hop back over to our browser here quickly. I'm going to go to this message here that we posted on identifying your North Star metric. So it's a blog that we wrote, right? So anchor text, when I talk about anchor text, you'll see how this Y here pops up and it's clickable link. The word Y is the anchor text. Click here is what I don't want to see, right? I would rather say this entire thing. Want to see the North Star metric explained in a video? Click here. I would rather see this entire thing optimized as a link rather than just the button, click here. As I keep scrolling, right, we see more anchor text, more linking. So some of this is external linking, which is wonderful. It's going to take me somewhere else, right? Lots of it is internal linking as well. We don't have any links there. As we keep scrolling on our social media platforms, we're linking back to our Instagram. We're talking, this takes you to our resources page. We have lots of different links that are in here. What you want to make sure you're doing is you're providing lots of connections to both your internal website, the internal world of your website, and the external world. So you'll see that as well. I have lots of links here going externally. So this is an article explaining why revenue should not be your North Star metric. This takes you to a Simon Sinek TED Talk on the concept of why. I apologize, I know I'm scrolling and it's probably a little disorienting for some of you. There's our social media. This one's internal. This one says get in touch. Again, this should say want to discuss your North Star metric, get in touch as one link rather than just get in touch, but that's okay. This takes us to our YouTube channel. The idea being it's taking us to lots and lots of different places. Well, those lots and lots of different places make us part of the overall experience on the internet. And that allows us to tell Google that we're relevant. Because one of the things that I want to really talk about is just the idea of all kinds of links, right? We build our website and we can't silo off our website from the rest of the internet. I know that it may not make sense to you, to the role you're playing everywhere, but I need links to your website. I need you to link from your website. And believe it or not, as we just talked about with internal, we need links within our website. I want you to focus on the idea of quality over quantity, specifically with regards to the links and things like that. What we're doing when we're talking about links to your website. So you want to find and this is what I mean when I say quality. You can get your website up on dozens, hundreds, thousands of different other websites up there, but it doesn't make sense, right? If I'm a communications company, why am I linking from a pizza blog? Doesn't make sense. Why am I linking to a pizza blog? Doesn't make sense. One of the things the bots do when they crawl all these sites is they follow these links and they try and think about consistency. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Is this here? Is this here? Does the pizza blog make sense to be linked to the marketing company, right? So that's what I mean when I say I want you to focus on quality over quantity. Now, some of the best things you can do that way is find the ones that have high authority. So your Yelps of the world, all these things. Make sure you are listed on a lot of your other high authority directories and things like that. That's going to help. The thing that nobody wants to hear about is when I tell them here that they need to create more content, whether it's blogging. I mean, and blogging is one of the best ways to help with regards to linking and getting links to your website. Believe it or not, there's numbers out there that say you'll get 434% more indexed pages when you blog consistently, and your inbound links will grow by 97%. I mean, so it's a massive thing. So if you're creating blogs and people are linking to these blogs from their websites or linking to your page from their websites, that is one of the biggest factors search engine use to determine rankings. Think of it this way: all of the links are recommendations that your website is worth visiting. And that's one of the easiest ways to think of it. And so that word of mouth, so to speak, that weight in that conversation is really, really important. I mean, when deciding how to rank your website, all these search engines look at how many links are going there and the quality of them. If 10 people recommend your business and 100 people recommend my business, and my 100 links are the same quality, high quality as your 10, well, then the search engine, Google, thinks that my website and my business is more relevant. Okay. It's really about trust. Links are really about trust that way. And that's what I want you to think about. So I want you to think about a link building strategy. And again, there's lots of great articles out there on how to develop your own link building strategy and things like that. Your web developer will be able to help you as well. If you're stuck, by all means, reach out and we can help you with this kind of stuff. So those were the 6 big things. There's a lot of, excuse me, there's a lot of other smaller ones, and I mean smaller, I mean, maybe smaller, maybe not, but a lot of other things that I want you to think about. I don't want you to put dates in your URLs, in your addresses. For those of you that are blogging, for those of you that have things up there, I need you to realize that when Google reads that this was posted in July of 2019, and because that's in your address, Google thinks it was only relevant then. So if you do have dates in your URLs, a lot of us are in that habit, especially when it comes to those of us that are writing blogs. I really need you to get rid of those dates. I keep talking about keywords and the idea of keyword, making sure your keywords are in your titles and your meta descriptions and on your pages. I don't want you to do what's called keyword stuffing. If you write a piece, or let's say you're selling fire pits and there's a piece on your page that says, our fire pits are the best fire pits that you'll ever find in Ontario. Our fire pits are this, that, the other, fire pit, fire pit, fire pit, fire pit. It's being used too often. Google doesn't need to read it 29 times on a page in order to know that that's what your page is about. A rule of thumb: if you read it and it reads kind of in a little bit of an odd fashion, you've probably listed it there and said it too many times. I need you to think about site speed with your website. And it seems relatively obvious, but I need you to think about how quick your pages are loading. How long do I, as the end user, have to wait to get what I want? One of the main things in digital marketing that we talk about is the idea that attention spans don't exist the way they used to. They just don't. And if your site's not loading and I can't get where I want, there's a good chance I'm just going somewhere else. So big pictures and videos and things like that, make sure if they're on there, that they're not on there in a way that's going to slow your website down. If you find your site is slow, you've got to do some digging and figure out what's happening. Why is it slowing down that way? I need you to think about the images that are on your page. So this is a common mistake, is that we upload a PDF of our menu or an image of our menu. We take these pictures and we put them on our website and we go, there we go, perfect. That's all I want. Here's the trick. Google can't read that picture. Google can't read that PDF. You have to name it. And when you name that picture of your menu, for example, as a restaurant, 2742.jpg, that's what Google thinks it is. So Google will return that for a search for 2742, but they'll never return it when somebody searches your restaurant name and menu. If you haven't named those images properly, you are losing out on an opportunity to rank with Google again. With regards to what's on that PDF or that image, it can be a lot of text on there, be a lot of information on there, but Google doesn't know what's in there. So you need to name it. So if I'm searching for a document or an image or a picture and you've got it, it needs to be named to match my search. So again, back to keywords, this is a good spot to make sure that keywords that you're using are in those images. And the last one that I want to talk about today is the idea of not paying for hosting. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to pay all the big bucks to be hosted by the biggest guys in the world. What I'm really talking about here is the idea of using free website builders. And listen, Cats Cove Communications, we build a lot on Wix. We build on Wix, and Wix offers a free website. But the trick is your URL, the website address, ends up with .wix.com in it. So it doesn't end up at catscovecommunications.com. It jams in .wix.com, and that's enough to confuse a search engine. And so for the 10, 12, whatever it is bucks a month that it ends up costing you to pay for proper hosting, I need you to realize how valuable that is for those things we're talking about. You will get penalized if we aren't tidying up those web addresses. So here's the stuff I want you to focus on, okay? I need you to focus on link building, external links coming into your website, links going away from your website as well. Stop thinking of your website as a silo. Start thinking of it as part of the community. And if you're only looking at local stuff, that's fine, right? So let's start making sure that if you're a member of the local Chamber of Commerce, that you're linking to that Chamber of Commerce as well as back from the Chamber of Commerce, things like that. I need you to think about local search. I need you to make sure that on your pages where appropriate, you have the name of your town, you have a local phone number on there. This will help Google determine that you are indeed local. I need you to think about the local directories. As I said, the Yelps of the world and things like that, the Google My Businesses of the world, the Foursquares of the world. I need you to make sure that you're doing something on those directories in order to help yourself get found. Do some keyword research, okay? The keyword research that I'm talking about is think about what it is you want to rank for. One of the best websites I could suggest for you to check out in order to start your keyword research, and it's a tool that we pay for. We pay for all the bells and whistles at Cats Cove Communications, but it's got a great starting spot for you as well, is a site called Uber Suggest, UberSuggest, and it's created by a gentleman by the name of Neil Patel, and he's fantastic. And he can help you with your keyword research. He has lots of interesting tools on there that can help with your keyword research. If you get there and you're not sure exactly what it means, again, reach out. We can walk through it. We can talk about it that way. But it's going to help you identify what keywords you should be using. Meta descriptions and title tags. Remember, this is the first impression somebody's going to have of your website before they ever visit it. The title of that page and the description of that page are the first impression they get. Make sure they are good. Make sure that you have done everything you can to help Google figure out where you are and what you're all about. And once you've done all of this stuff, all of these other ideas, set up your Google Analytics. Pay attention to where your traffic is coming from, but also pay attention to what traffic is converting, what that search term is. Don't end up with all the people on your website looking for Gardner Minshew, to go back to that idea, and being really confused and annoyed that it turns out you're a communications and marketing company that's building websites, and I wanted to read more about this football player, okay? SEO is key to your strategy. It's going to take time and patience, Okay. When you're done it, or when you've done it and you are finished, or it becomes people are finding your business not only when you're open, but during evenings and weekends as well. So I always say to people, it's something like this: having a website is like paying somebody to be on staff all the time. The best example I heard about this or heard of this recently was you get a website. You could pay somebody 20 hours, $15 an hour, or whatever minimum wage is, and you could pay them the $15 an hour for 20 hours a week to exist at your business. And that's wonderful. Or you can take some time and some money and invest it in stuff like search engine optimization to ensure that your business is open 24/7 for people to access and for people to find. And that's one of the things that I really encourage people to do. It's a free thing for you to help you get more traffic. So thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate your time. I've really enjoyed this this opportunity to sit and speak with you today. If you have any questions, there's an email address and a phone number there. Do not hesitate to reach out. If you're still here and you're looking for some help with your website, again, do not hesitate to reach out or check us out there at catscovecommunications.com. Thank you, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. We'll talk to you soon.